Hello, Steve here, coming to you from Firebox headquarters here in Mount Pleasant, Utah. Let me take you in and show you around. We've just started shipping 5-way cast iron cookware, and the shipping team is busy getting orders out. You can see the warehouse is packed full. Morning, Adam.
Good morning.
Morning, Vanya.
Good morning.
Morning, Charlotte.
Good morning.
But you can see the warehouse is full, but the stuff is getting packaged up and shipped out real quick. What I wanted to talk to you today about is seasoning. So we're going to go back here in the break room. You can see I just unpacked from my moto camping trip, and I have a bit of a mess in here, but part of what I need to do is put another coat of seasoning on my 5-way cast iron cookware. Firebox 5-way cookware is sand cast iron. What that means is that every surface is going to be just a little bit different. Some of them will come really quite smooth, and some of them will have just a little bit more texture. Now, let me show you the first step that I think is important, and that is scraping. When you first get your cast iron cookware, use your handle, your removable forged handle. Use your handle to scrape your cast iron. People say how amazing and wonderful their old cast iron is, and part of that is because it has become burnished over years of use. So to simulate years of use, I recommend that you scrape your cast iron for the very first time that you season it. So this is going to be quite loud, so I'm not going to do much of it. But your handle does have a edge that is made just for scraping your cast iron cookware. The radius here matches the inside radius of your cast iron pan, and so you can just go ahead and use quite a bit of pressure and scrape your cast iron. You can scrape it as thoroughly as you want, but this is basically what's going to happen with use of your cookware. You're going to be scraping it clean. You're going to be scraping it quite a bit, and scraping it does not harm it. If anything, you are burnishing it or making it more smooth. Now, I do not recommend using abrasives, sandpapers, grinders. I do not recommend that at all. I believe that having some texture is actually a good thing, because that protects your seasoning, because the scraping will just scrape along the tips, the high points of your cast iron, and it will keep your seasoning that is down in the low parts protected. So the first step is scraping. I would scrape it thoroughly, all the sides, all the edges. Then choose your oil. I've got vegetable oil here, because it has a high ratio of polyunsaturated fats. So you'll look at the back, you'll find where it tells you how much polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. Now, something high in monounsaturated fats is not going to work as well as something that's high in polyunsaturated fats. I do believe that using a variety of oils does have advantages as well. But for your initial seasoning, I would recommend you use vegetable oil or some other oil that is high in polyunsaturated fats. Now, I bought a paintbrush for doing this, and then I just pour a little bit of this vegetable oil onto a paper plate, and it makes it quick and easy to kind of paint your cookware with a paintbrush. You can get it into all the little tight places. You can get it into the corners quickly and easily. Once you have a wet coat on your pan, I recommend you use a piece of paper towel to wipe that oil back off. You don't want to wipe it all off. You just want to change it from being a wet look to being more of a satin finish. So you're going from shiny to satin. You want to wipe most of that back off. You just want to leave a very thin, very light coating of that vegetable oil or whatever other oil you're using that is high in polyunsaturated fats. So there's that side. Let's go ahead and hit this side. When you're cleaning your pan, don't be afraid to scrape it. On this grill side, you can use the grill shaped scraper on the other end of your handle. This is designed to fit perfectly, and you can change the angle depending upon if you're trying to scrape the valleys. You'd have more of an upright angle like that. And then if you're trying to scrape the high points, you'd have a lower angle, more like that. Between the two, you should be able to get your grill lines very clean. So scraping is your friend when it comes to cast iron. But once again, you want to soak up that excess oil and change it from being shiny to being more of a satin sheen. You just want a light coat. And if you have a dog here to help you, then that's all the better. And you go ahead and just get that extra oil soaked up with your paper towel. I like to do my seasoning here where I have a toaster oven, but it's also a good idea to use a outdoor grill or something outside just so that the smoke isn't a problem inside your home. If you do this inside your home, you will want to open up probably all of your windows. This will smoke quite a bit when it's in the oven. So let's show you that process. Oil ran down here and kind of became excessive right there. So I'll get that out. I'll clean the oil out of these divots so that it doesn't build up in there. And I think this pan is ready to go in. You can put it in upside down. If you have it well wiped off and your coat is thin enough, you don't really need to do that. So you can go ahead and just put that in. Okay, here's another shallow pan oiled up. You can see it's a very, very light coat of oil. Here's a third shallow pan. So put that in there. Here we have our last pan to go in the oven. This is the deep casserole pan. I'll go ahead and slide it in. And we'll go ahead and push start. That's 450 for 2 hours. Some final thoughts on taking care of your cast iron that I didn't mention earlier is when you're washing your cast iron, you can use detergent. I use Dawn. It won't hurt your seasoning. It won't leave a flavor in your seasoning. The polymerized fats will hold up to using a regular dish soap, and you can scrub it, but don't use an abrasive scrubber. I use a plastic brush like this, or I use a plastic washcloth. Scraping will burnish and will make your cast iron more smooth, whereas using abrasives, that will leave micro scratches and that will cause your food to stick. So avoid abrasives. Don't get tempted to sand or polish through abrasive methods. Between camping trips, if you're not going to do a fresh seasoning before you store your cast iron, put a little extra virgin olive oil on your pans to put them into storage, and that will just protect them from corrosion. One more thing I could talk about is seasoning your cooking stone. Now, I have the cooking stone for the cast iron pans here. This is a new product, so it's only been seasoned with one coat. And then this is the cooking stone from the box pot, which has had several layers of seasoning. You can see it's just completely sealed up. So I'm going to set it aside, but I am going to go ahead and put another coat of seasoning on the 5-way cast iron cooking stone. So you can see how dark it gets because that oil is still absorbing. So I'm just going to put a coat of oil on this and put it in here on top of these cast iron pans. So these stones do absorb a lot more oil, which means they're going to smoke quite a bit more. At least 400 degrees, and 450 degrees is probably a little bit better. If you're working with a lower temperature, you'll want to run it for a longer amount of time. I've got this cooking stone fully coated with oil. The oil absorbs at this point, but after a few coats it stops absorbing and stays on the surface, and that's when you know you're pretty much finished. That's what I have here with this box pot stone, is it doesn't absorb oil anymore, it stays on the surface, and that's why I don't feel like I need to add any more seasoning to this. It's very well seasoned. So I'm just going to slide this across the top and let that, yeah, that's on an angle, so that'll even be better. There's less points of contact with the cast iron. When you layer stuff, it does leave a mark, but I don't really worry about that personally. It's worth it to me to be able to do a big batch like this rather than doing them one at a time and having it take quite a bit longer. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.